Right, okay guys, welcome to the very first video of a new channel that I've started up. As some of you may know, I've got my Mainmeister channel, which is predominantly old video games, but I realise that that's quite a kind of niche thing and there's lots of stuff I want to talk about, so I thought why don't I start up a second channel where I can just put non-gaming related stuff. So the very first video I'm going to be doing, guys, is it's a video that I recorded last week, I think it was. Now I'm actually with my girlfriend Lee.
Hi.
Lee and I visited this place last weekend. Now it's a secret nuclear bunker, but I've got to say it's probably the most rubbishest secret place ever, considering it is signposted. Now this is us entering the place. You can see there all the various military vehicles. What did you think as you were kind of driving towards it? What were your kind of thoughts? Did it make you feel uneasy at all? Or?
It didn't make me feel uneasy, I was quite excited.
It's one of these places. I mean, obviously it was, you know, a secret bunker that was going to be used. I believe it opened just after the Second World War. Just after sort of the start of the Cold War, and then it was, obviously it was used in the event of a nuclear war, which would have been just the worst thing ever. Basically, there's a number of government officials who would have been shepherded into this bunker. They would then get all the people they need, and they would close the door, and the rest of us would be left to die. So this is us just approaching the bunker. We're going down inside. You can see there's 2 flights of stairs. Obviously these computers were not there at that point. You can see there 18 inches of solid concrete. Apparently this was bought, it was put up for sale. Did you remember when it was? When they said it went up for sale?
In the 80s, was it?
It might have been something like that. Yeah, and it was basically bought over by a conglomerate or something, did they say it was?
A conglomerate.
Yeah, so which I'm assuming, is that just a bunch of people rather than a company?
Yeah, a bunch of businesses.
And they bought it over, and what they've done is, through help with, I don't know whether it was a government, a charity, funding, whatever, they've basically put it back. I believe there was a lot of the bunker was as it was, but I think through the help of various organisations, they've kind of tried to restore it into what it would have looked like back in the day when the event of a nuclear war was a very real possibility.
This is all underneath a cottage.
Yeah, a cottage. And you can see there, these are the various rooms. There's always a number of rooms. Obviously the fact that nobody lives here. Oh, room 7's closed, as is room 12. Now this is us just about to approach the main blast doors. These were the doors which would have been closed, and basically nobody got in and nobody got out. These guys were basically there to shoot anybody that tried to get in. I was actually here myself last year, and I was the only person in the place, and it just felt quite eerie, because it felt like this was what it would have been like, you know.
That's a single bunker room, isn't
it? Yeah, that was just outside the blast doors. I've got to say, it is actually colour. I've just made it grey for effect.
Were they not 3 tons each?
1.5 tons, I think it was.
3 tons in total.
Yeah. Obviously they're not made strong to withstand the blast. I wouldn't have thought. It's more to stop anybody getting in or out. what I thought was quite surprising was, for such a large building, it wasn't cold. I mean, alright, we're in the middle of summer, but considering, I don't know how far down we are underground, it wasn't cold.
They never had any heating on at all, but they said if they used the heating it would cost £2,000 a day.
Yeah, something like that, I think it was, yeah.
I suppose it wasn't just heating, it'd probably be like all sorts of
electricity, yeah. Now apparently there's a lot of these bunkers throughout the UK. I think this was the main one for Scotland. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. You'll see there, well, you did see there for a second, it tells you, yeah, there you go, secret bunker, audio guide number 3. Basically you can hire a phone thing, which you tap in the number and you get the voice and the guy will explain just what everything is. Certainly worth doing.
Was it the Royal Observer Corps that made the public announcement videos, public information videos?
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm not 100%
They told you
sure.
what to do in your house if there was a nuclear
Yeah,
attack.
we'll see that later on. We can talk about that later on, but yeah, there were a series of public information films which were actually broadcast in the 80s, and I personally remember watching them as a kid and being absolutely terrified. There you go. I think that laser printer looks a wee bit out of place.
There's a map.
Yeah, this was basically for them to plot, to monitor the airspace, to see what was. I mean, it's hard to actually see what area that covers. Is that the whole of Europe? It's hard to actually tell. But what I found quite scary was, given the threat that this was built for, to protect people from, well, it wasn't going to protect anybody from, but the technology that they had was like
Basic.
very basic. Yeah, I mean, it's like the old cliche. Yeah, I'm sure a mobile phone has got way more computing power than some of these computers. Now the actual bunker is over 3 levels. You can access most of the first and second, but the third one is still out of bounds. I'm not quite sure why. It's possibly just empty. It's hard to tell. Can you see? Does that actually look like a map? Obviously it's a map. I can't see any shape. What is that? Britain? Is that? That looked like the top of Britain. So I think it might well be. See, no, it isn't.
I think it is about Britain because it's where the attacks might happen.
Forewarned is forearmed. Don't know who that is. Oh wait a minute, I know that woman sitting to the left. Don't know who the one in the middle is. But if you ever get a chance to visit one of these bunkers, I mean, they're dotted all over the place. They're not so secret now, but if you ever get a chance to visit one and you've got an interest in it, it's worthwhile going. One thing I thought, I don't know what you thought, there was quite a few people with really young kids. Did you think that they would get anything out of this?
Not at all, unless they're little geeks.
Yeah, I mean, to somebody the uninitiated, I can't even say the word uninitiated, it's, it didn't really look, it was quite, you'd probably say it's quite boring, but it's because we were of that generation. We knew about the threat of nuclear war, we understand the consequences had it happened. But I mean, there was a couple of families with kids about 5, 6 years old, and we're watching some of the films which are quite harrowing, even for an adult.
Yeah. We sat and watched the film for over half an hour, and there was kids in there, and some of the scenes were quite disturbing.
Yeah. Well, there's one which we'll look at called The War Game, which was actually banned. And this apparently is the this was the doctor's room, and you can see some of the implements. I'm sure my dentist still owns some of these implements.
I think there was supposed to be 3 doctors at any time.
Is that right?
Well, 3 doctors available, but
now this was the main dormitory. Now what they told us was it was the beds were rotated on a sort of a hotbed basis, where I think you were awake for, was it 18 hours or 16 hours?
They got to sleep for 6 hours each, so it'd be like 4 people would use each bed.
Yeah.
Over a 24-hour period.
So yeah, you slept for 6 hours, you were awake for 18, and as soon as you got up, somebody else took over. Now there was actually paper cuttings of these beds, and I believe the blankets which you can see on top of the bed are the originals. I mean, the paper was like it was breaking up.
I think the men and women were separated as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I don't actually know. That was the only dormitory we saw. I wonder where.
Probably in the level we didn't get access to.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Because the whole bunker's supposed to hold 300 people.
I wonder what would happen had there been a fire in the place, eh? You know, I mean, had there been a bad fire, then the people would have probably perished. Of course, if they ran outside, they were going to get radio fallout poisoning. Now, this is one of the scariest bit, and I'm going to not talk over this little bit. This was actually the studio that they would broadcast to the nation.
If there was anybody left.
Yeah. Anybody to listen?
What was that room?
Well, it was actually the broadcasting room itself. So if you had a radio, that's what you'd be listening to. They would obviously issue warnings. I don't know how you felt in that room, but I did have a chill down my spine when I was in there. It just... Fortunately, the bunker was never used for the use it was built. But yeah.
I think if it happened now, they would take it over again.
That's an interesting point. I think they would, because I mean, I'm sure the actual structure of the building itself would probably still withstand it. They'd probably update it a bit more. Certainly it would have more modern equipment.
Maybe they've got plenty other ones.
It's possible.
Lenin.
Is that not Gary Glitter? I didn't notice any articles that's told you how much it actually cost.
It's probably a secret.
Possibly. Now, it's interesting they call this the cinemas. I'm guessing they were probably these are harrowing pictures. These were taken at Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
The guy that took them died shortly after, but I think his sister passed on the photographs to British intelligence. She sold them.
So was that a resident that took them? That would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Advice to householders. Yeah, I like how it's very matter of fact. I'm sure my dad used to own one of these. This film was called The War Game, and it was actually banned from being shown because it was just too harrowing. I mean, we watched it right through, and it's worth watching, just if nothing else to remind you just how horrific a nuclear war would be.
I think it was 1965 that came out, round about then, and then was banned.
If that happened in real life, everything that's gone before, your work, your job, it means nothing. It's just you trying to survive. These were the public information films that were shown in the UK in the mid-80s. You always think that in the event of a nuclear war you're going to jump in the car and drive to the Outer Hebrides, but according to that it wouldn't make any difference. Though you do have to wonder, was this propaganda? Was this to stop people panicking?
It was to control people, keep them in the houses so that they don't riot on the streets. Because it was ridiculous what they told them to do. Were people just more gullible then?
I'm not convinced this is a film for kids. It's worth watching. All these Protect and Survive adverts, call it, if we're going to call it that, are available on YouTube. This is the little church thing. It's a bit ironic that if a nuclear war had occurred and there's half a dozen people sitting praying.
Yeah, wherever you go you'll find religion.
It all seems a bit of a hollow gesture at that point, I'd imagine. It's very reminiscent of a sort of a 1970s hospital or 1950s hospital, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Or asylum.
Yeah.
More like an asylum, I would say.
And you can see there, yeah, tells you there that you cannot get through these doors.
The guy that was in control, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was the Minister of whatever it was.
Operations.
Minister of Operations. He was basically the main man. He would determine who got into the bunker, who got out the bunker. He had, well, it says there, overall authority for all wartime operations. He would determine who would be killed. And one thing that the telephone voice thing tells you is that they only had a limited supplies of medical, morphine, etc. And they reckoned it would be if all the supplies would be used up within a couple of days. So he would determine who would live and who would die. They reckoned that the old and the infirm, mentally handicapped, ill people, they may have been shot because they were basically wasting resources. That was the way they looked at it. It was a life and death situation, and I suppose they had to try and control it to the best of their ability, but it'd be a horrific job, I would imagine. I couldn't imagine that his... You remember these overhead projectors? Remember them for school? Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that his wife or kids would have got in either, so it's not a pleasant job at all.
He was the Minister of State.
I would imagine this place would be absolutely ripe for a film.
Yeah.
It's virtually, I would actually quite like for that to happen, because there's nothing better to bring something to life than actually seeing this. Can I say the reason Lee and myself visited this place was we've just finished watching the Netflix programme called Chernobyl, which was basically documented the 1986 nuclear power station disaster. If you've not watched it and you've got any interest in it at all, I suggest you do watch it. Again, it's very harrowing.
It's like a dark blanket falls over you.
It does, yeah. If you're in a particularly dark place, it's maybe not. You might be better off going and watching Bambi or Dumbo. There again, Dumbo's mum dies and Mammy's mum dies, so possibly not.
Dumbo's mum doesn't die.
Is that, am I thinking of something else? I don't know.
Bambi.
Right, this is the boiler room. Now these boilers are still maintained to this day. I mean, it's a very, very efficient heating and cooling system, and it generated, I mean, the amount of millions of cubic gallons of air that it had to sort of process was incredible. You can't even begin to imagine how these people in there would have felt when they were actually watching a bomb about to explode over the UK. How would they have felt? Because they would have obviously heard they would have felt and probably heard the blast. I couldn't imagine how awful that would have been. Not as bad as for the poor buggers that were basically getting evaporated.
But most of them would have left their families behind.
Yeah.
What happened if people died in there? What did they do with the bodies?
They did tell you in the doctor's room. I think they were wrapped up in cardboard coffins, and then once it was safe, they were put outside for collection by the council on a Thursday. Teleprinter. I mean, how old is that? And one thing that I never noticed, and again I wonder if that was maybe downstairs, there wasn't any, did you, apart from the dartboard, I didn't see any signs of entertainment. Well, they had cinemas, so did they maybe, I can't imagine they would show the war game when you were in there, but you know, there was no form of exercise.
No gym. They probably played cards. Mind you, probably that tired, but what an existence. Is it going to be worth it going in there?
I'm quite sure if it happened in real life, there would probably been some people in there that would have preferred to have been with their families. I'm not quite sure what that little girl was benefiting from being in there, unless her parents were actually telling her exactly what this was about. It's the same thing you talk about. You see people, they'll go and visit. I mean, you can actually, believe it or not, there's actually tours. You can go and visit Chernobyl, and apparently this is true. You get given a Geiger counter, so you can actually tour the place. I don't think you can get inside the actual power station as such, but it's the same as when people go to Auschwitz and these concentration camps. I guess it just depends on the type of person you are. Personally, I would like to visit these just to experience. Well, that's wrong to say experience. You're not experiencing what these people felt. These people were getting killed. I don't know. If nothing more, to go and pay your respects. I think
it's about paying your respects and
making you realise that this should never, ever be allowed to happen ever again.
I don't think you should be taking selfies there.
This was the ammunition room, various guns. Now what I was thinking was, why are these, what purpose do these guns serve when you're inside a nuclear bunker? But I'm imagining some of the guns, yeah, the armed guards obviously in case somebody went, somebody took a mad turn, but then I'm assuming that these all these bombs, etc., were going to be used outside the bunker, I would imagine.
These missiles, the base of them was made of wood, which surprised me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the bit in the front is the actual warhead itself. Anybody that plays Call of Duty is probably quite familiar with all these particular guns. That's an Uzi 9mm if I'm not mistaken. I've used that in the game Operation Wolf. But there's a real sort of foreboding sense of doom when you're in that place, even though you know it's a museum. It still does have quite an effect on you. It certainly did on me. Did you feel a certain state of mind when you were walking about there?
I felt like we could pay to go in there now, but if anything like that happened, we wouldn't get near it.
Yeah, that was the closest you were ever going to get to being in there.
So we can pay to maintain it. We'll benefit from it. And now across the whole country there's bunkers like this that specific people, designated people, will have access to if there's a nuclear attack. And it made me think, I don't think people realise what a nuclear attack means, because it would just be the end. I think, when was the one that nearly annihilated the whole planet and it was a mistake? Remember the guy was going to press the button because he thought...
Well, yeah, I think it was in the mid-80s. It was during the Reagan-Gorbachev era. There was apparently a false activation in Russia, and the guy that was monitoring the incoming missiles, something appeared on the radar to indicate that a nuclear missile was incoming, and rather than reacting, he actually checked. He wanted to double check, and it turns out that it was a malfunction of the computer.
He was going to press the button, but there was somebody else in the room who was the same rank as him, and he checked it.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
And he stopped it happening just because he had as much power as the other person, or maybe a bit more. But that could have been it.
Oh yeah, it's frightening just how a single mistake.
I think the missile that hit Hiroshima, the missiles now that are on Trident, I think there's something like
15 times as more powerful.
15 times more powerful, and there's 24 on Trident.
On each missile has 5 warheads, and I think there's 25 missiles per submarine. 24,
I double checked.
24 times 5, whatever that is. Quite a lot.
It would only take one. It was a bit weird during that film, War Games. People were asked if they think that Britain should retaliate if a nuclear attack happened in Britain, and they all said yes. And there was no understanding what that would actually mean. We're
all dead, so let's just kill everybody else. The sad thing is 99.99% of the people who are going to be killed are completely, utterly innocent.
Yeah.
And it's just me personally, if I was killed in a nuclear war, I wouldn't want to retaliate.
Well,
why would I want Russians or North Koreans or whoever to have the same fate as myself?
Well, the reality is the only places that have actually been attacked is Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I think Dresden. None of them have retaliated. And look at the mess that's happened after that. You know, the total tragedy. I think it's 200,000 people.
Yeah.
Hiroshima. And Chernobyl was about 200,000, and that was just an accident.
Yeah, the difference between Chernobyl and a nuclear war is Chernobyl was a radiation leak, whereas a nuclear bomb is the radiation plus the actual blast itself.
And it's that kind of windy, that boiling
Yeah,
wind.
it's the sort of firestorm.
Does leave you a wee bit disconcerted though, doesn't it? Because you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, and according to this, there's still rooms which we have no access to. They say they're still highly classified, so there's a lot. There's a lot that we, Mr. Joe Public, will never know about. What I liked about this as well is they did try and promote the sort of good work that our countrymen or our servicemen do. It's all about, it's not just about attack, it's about safeguarding our shores and airspace.
It's absolutely massive, wasn't it?
That is.
That was something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, you thought it was going to be like a little bunker that you get in American TV shows, with a pool table and a dartboard. And
Did they lock people up and keep them for 20 years?
now apparently, in this is the telecommunications room, apparently there's something like 2,800 outside lines that could come and go, basically keep in touch with the rest of the world, the rest of the country. And they said that even now, this is still the most reliable way of keeping in touch. Somehow I can't imagine getting a signal on your O2 mobile phone if the worst happened. It just looks so archaic, the technology though.
Good props for a film though.
Yeah, it would be. The interesting thing is though, when you look at all these typewriters and what have you, they all look really primitive. Yeah, and if the worst happened and there was like a loss of power, etc., these are the things that you could still use. They don't rely on electricity, You
wonder about the people who were supposed to go into that bunker, like the typists and the telephonists and the
Yeah,
doctors.
they would have all been handpicked. I'm sure quite a few. I don't know whether or not they had any say in it. I'm sure they probably would have.
Well, there was 12, supposed to be 12 telephonists. I don't know if that's 12 times 4 or just 12. No, there'd be 12 times 4, wouldn't there?
They all had their part to play. That's us obviously exiting the bunker.
And now it's a tourist attraction. I think the people that built this, they had to sign a Secrets Act,
I would imagine so, yeah.
and apparently when the materials were brought in to build it, the trucks had to leave it at the end of the road. They weren't allowed to bring it in, and
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed as we're driving in, there were some sort of outposts. So I'm sure there's armed guards, etc. Now there is one resident in the bunker. Don't know what his name is, but he's a cat. I didn't see him. I did see him the last time I was here. But you can see just how long this tunnel is. I think it was about 25 metres, I think it was, something like that.
That was the only really cold part.
Yeah. Could you imagine, had a nuclear bomb dropped on the UK and this was like 6 months after it? Can you imagine walking up that tunnel and walking outside for the first time to witness the devastation?
Definitely worth a visit.
Anyway guys, listen, thank you very much for watching.